The night was unusually calm in New York City. For once, there were no storms, no heavy winds, and not even a single cloud to block the view of the stars above. It was one of those rare evenings when the sky looked like it had been painted with glittering diamonds. Thousands of people stepped out onto their rooftops, balconies, or sidewalks just to gaze upward. Among them was Alex Carter, a 34-year-old astrophysicist who spent most of his life studying the mysteries of the universe. To him, the stars weren't just beautiful. They were whispers of secrets waiting to be uncovered. Alex lived alone in a small apartment on the 12th floor of a building near Central Park. His rooftop was his sanctuary, a place where he could escape the noise of the city and focus on what truly mattered to him, the cosmos. That evening, he carried his trusty telescope up the stairs, setting it up carefully as he always did. He adjusted the lenses, peering through the eyepiece to get a closer look at the constellations, but something felt different tonight. There was an odd shimmer in the air, almost like heat waves rising from asphalt on a summer day. At first, Alex thought it might be a trick of the light or perhaps some atmospheric anomaly. But then, it happened. A sudden ripple appeared in the sky, as if someone had taken a knife and sliced through reality itself. The fabric of the heavens seemed to tear apart, revealing a glowing, otherworldly void behind it. People below gasped, pointing and shouting as they watched the impossible unfold before their eyes. From within the rift emerged shapes, massive, metallic forms that glided silently across the atmosphere. They were ships, but unlike anything humanity had ever seen. Sleek and angular, their surfaces shimmered with hues of silver and blue, reflecting the faint glow of the moonlight. Some of the ships were so large that they blocked entire sections of the starry sky, casting shadows over the city below. Panic erupted almost instantly. Cars screeched to a halt as drivers abandoned their vehicles to stare upward. Crowds gathered in the streets, some screaming in terror while others snapped photos and videos with their phones. Social media exploded with posts about the mysterious phenomenon, and within minutes, news outlets around the world began broadcasting live footage of the event. Reporters stood breathlessly in front of cameras, struggling to make sense of what they were witnessing. "Is this some kind of military experiment?" one anchor asked frantically. "Or are we seeing visitors from another world?" Alex didn't move. He stood frozen on the rooftop, his heart pounding in his chest. As an astrophysicist, he had always believed in the possibility of extraterrestrial life. He had read countless theories, studied ancient texts, and even written papers speculating about how humanity might react to contact with alien civilizations. But nothing could have prepared him for this moment. This wasn't just contact. It was invasion. Or so it seemed. The largest ship descended slowly toward Earth, its hull bristling with weapons that looked capable of leveling entire cities. It hovered ominously over Manhattan, casting a shadow that sent shivers down Alex's spine. Then, without warning, a voice boomed across the city and somehow across the entire planet. Everyone heard it, no matter where they were or what language they spoke. The message came through clearly, as though the aliens had tapped directly into human communication systems. "We come not to destroy but to warn," the voice said. Its tone was deep and resonant, devoid of emotion, yet strangely reassuring. "Your world is in grave danger." For a moment, silence fell over the crowd. People exchanged confused glances, unsure whether to believe what they were hearing. Was this some elaborate prank? A secret government project gone wrong? Or was it real? Before anyone could process the implications, the voice continued. "Another species, an ancient and ruthless empire known as the Vorthak, is en route to your planet. Their arrival will mean extinction for your kind, unless drastic measures are taken immediately. We offer our assistance, but time is short." Alex's mind raced as he tried to piece together what was happening. Who were these beings? And why would they travel such vast distances just to warn humanity about another threat? Despite the fear gripping the city, Alex felt a spark of curiosity ignite within him. If these aliens truly wanted to help, then humanity had a chance, a slim one perhaps, but still a chance. Little did he know, This was only the beginning of a journey that would change his life forever. Back inside his apartment, Alex sat at his desk, staring blankly at the notes scattered across it. His thoughts were a whirlwind of questions and possibilities. He knew he couldn't ignore what he had witnessed. Whatever these aliens wanted, it was clear that humanity was standing on the brink of something far greater than itself. As dawn broke over the horizon, painting the sky with streaks of orange and pink, Alex made a decision. He would find answers, no matter the cost. Because deep down, he understood one thing. The fate of Earth might rest in his hands. Over the Yao. Next few days, chaos reigned across the globe. Governments scrambled to respond to the alien presence, holding emergency meetings and issuing conflicting statements. Some leaders dismissed the warning as a hoax, while others called for immediate cooperation with the extraterrestrials. Conspiracy theories spread like wildfire online, with some claiming the aliens were here to enslave humanity, and others insisting they were saviors sent by divine intervention. Amidst the confusion, Alex became determined to learn more about the beings who had torn open the sky. He reached out to colleagues in the scientific community, sharing his observations and urging them to take the situation seriously. Most dismissed him outright, unwilling to entertain the idea of alien contact. But a few listened, intrigued by the data Alex had collected during the initial encounter. Together, they formed a small team dedicated to understanding the technology used by the visitors. Their work caught the attention of a shadowy organization operating under the radar of public scrutiny. Known only as the Council, the group claimed to represent humanity's interests in dealing with the aliens. One evening, Alex received a call from a number he didn't recognize. The voice on the other end was calm but authoritative. "Dr. Carter, we need your expertise," the caller said. "If you're willing to cooperate, we can arrange a meeting with the aliens." Skeptical but desperate for answers, Alex agreed. The following morning, he was escorted to a secure facility located miles outside the city. There, he met the four beings face-to-face, or rather, face-to-visor. The aliens identified themselves as the Krillians, a highly advanced race hailing from a distant star system. They explained that centuries ago, their own planet had fallen victim to the Vorthak, a merciless empire that sought to conquer and exterminate any species deemed inferior. Now, the Krillians traveled the galaxy, warning others before the Vorthak arrived. According to them, Earth had less than a year before the invaders reached its borders. As Alex listened to their story, he couldn't help but feel a mixture of awe and dread. These creatures weren't monsters. They were survivors, driven by a sense of duty to protect others from the same fate they had endured. Yet their revelation raised more questions than it answered. Could humanity really prepare for an interstellar war in such a short amount of time? And even if they could, would the Krillians' help come at too high a price? By the time Alex left the facility, his mind was spinning with possibilities. He knew the road ahead would be fraught with challenges, both technological and political. But one thing was certain: the world would never be the same again. As he gazed up at the sky once more, now filled with strange ships instead of stars, Alex realized that this was only the beginning. Whatever happened next, he vowed to play his part in shaping humanity's destiny. In the days following his first encounter with the Krillians, Alex's life became a whirlwind of meetings, experiments, and sleepless nights. The weight of humanity's survival rested heavily on his shoulders, but he refused to let fear paralyze him. Instead, he channeled every ounce of energy into understanding the Krillians' technology and finding ways to prepare Earth for the impending threat. Little did he know this journey would lead him to form an unlikely bond with one of the aliens, a connection that would shape not only his own destiny, but also the future of both species. The Krillians had set up a temporary base just outside New York City, hidden beneath layers of advanced cloaking technology. To the untrained eye, it appeared as nothing more than an empty field dotted with trees. But beneath the surface lay a sprawling complex filled with machinery, laboratories, and command centers. It was here that Alex spent most of his time, working alongside the alien scientists who had volunteered to assist humanity. At first, communication was awkward and slow. The Krillians spoke in melodic tones that translated imperfectly into human languages through their devices. Misunderstandings were frequent, often leading to frustration on both sides. Despite these challenges, Alex quickly proved himself invaluable. His deep knowledge of astrophysics allowed him to grasp concepts that baffled even seasoned engineers. He asked questions no one else dared to ask, pushing boundaries and challenging assumptions. Over time, the Krillians began to see him not just as a collaborator but as a peer. One of them, in particular, stood out: Commander Zainara. Tall and imposing, with luminous blue eyes that seemed to pierce through walls, Zainara exuded authority. Her armor-like suit shimmered faintly under artificial lights, hinting at the advanced materials woven into its fabric. Yet, there was something softer beneath her stern exterior, a quiet vulnerability that intrigued Alex. Zainara rarely spoke unless necessary, preferring to observe rather than engage. But when she did interact with Alex, her words carried weight. She explained how the Krillians' homeworld had been devastated by the Vorthak centuries ago, leaving scars that still haunted their people. "We failed," she admitted during one late-night conversation in the lab. "Our arrogance blinded us. We thought we were ready, but we weren't." Her voice wavered slightly, betraying emotions she usually kept locked away. Alex listened intently, sensing the pain behind her stoic demeanor. In that moment, he realized they shared something profound: the burden of responsibility. Both of them carried the hopes and fears of entire civilizations. Their partnership grew stronger with each passing day. Together, they devised strategies to adapt Krillian technology for human use. Fusion reactors powered cities. Quantum communication networks connected continents instantaneously, and experimental weapon systems promised to level the playing field against the Vorthak. Progress was slow but steady, fueled by Alex's determination and Zainara's expertise. Slowly, trust blossomed between them, a fragile yet vital foundation upon which everything else depended. But not everyone shared their optimism. Back on Earth, skepticism about the Krillians ran rampant. Governments argued over how best to utilize their assistance, while conspiracy theorists accused the aliens of orchestrating a covert takeover. Some believed the warning about the Vorthak was fabricated, a ploy to manipulate humanity into surrendering its sovereignty. Even within the scientific community, opinions were divided. Many dismissed Alex's work as reckless, claiming he was putting too much faith in beings whose motives remained unclear. Alex faced mounting pressure from all sides. Colleagues questioned his judgment, accusing him of prioritizing alien agendas over human interests. Friends distanced themselves, unsure how to reconcile the man they knew with the public figure now making headlines worldwide. Worst of all, his family struggled to understand why he had thrown himself so completely into this mission. His mother begged him to come home, pleading, "You're risking everything for strangers, Alex. What if they're lying? What if you're wrong?" Her words stung, but Alex couldn't abandon what he believed was right. Failure wasn't an option, not when billions of lives hung in the balance. Amidst the turmoil, Zainara became a pillar of support. She didn't offer empty reassurances or try to sugarcoat the grim reality they faced. Instead, she listened, truly listened, when Alex needed to vent his frustrations. "I've walked your path," she told him one evening as they reviewed schematics for a new Starship prototype. "I know what it feels like to fight battles others can't comprehend. You're not alone." Her words struck a chord deep within him, reminding him that he wasn't the only one carrying this weight. As weeks turned into months, tensions escalated both on Earth and within the Krillian ranks. Not all members of their race supported aiding humanity. Some viewed it as a waste of resources better spent elsewhere. Internal debates raged, mirroring the discord unfolding among humans. Rumors of sabotage began circulating after several key projects suffered mysterious setbacks. Equipment malfunctioned without explanation, data went missing, and crucial deadlines slipped further out of reach. Frustration mounted on both sides, threatening to derail the alliance before it could bear fruit. Determined to uncover the truth, Alex and Zainara launched their own investigation. Working tirelessly, they traced the disruptions back to a shadowy group operating within the Krillian hierarchy. Known as the Scathar, they opposed any form of cooperation with lesser species, viewing it as a betrayal of Krillian principles. Their leader, a ruthless tactician named Vorath, saw humanity as unworthy of salvation and sought to undermine the project at every turn. When Alex confronted Zainara with the evidence, her expression hardened. "This ends now," she declared, firmly. "If Vorath thinks he can stand in our way, he underestimates us." With Zainara's backing, Alex presented their findings to the Council, the same secretive organization that had brought him into contact with the Krillians. Reluctantly, the Council agreed to act, ordering the arrest of Vorath and his followers. Though the immediate threat was neutralized, the incident left lingering questions. How many others harbored similar doubts? And could humanity truly rely on the Krillians, given their internal divisions? Despite these uncertainties, progress continued. Cities once bustling with life transformed into hubs of innovation and production. Factories churned out components for Earth's first fleet of starships, while research teams worked around the clock to refine defensive technologies. For the first time in history, nations put aside their differences, uniting under a common cause. Unity, however, came at a cost. Resources dwindled, economies faltered, and dissent grew louder among those who feared losing their way of life. Protests erupted in major cities, with demonstrators demanding answers and accountability. Through it all, Alex remained steadfast, driven by a singular goal: survival. He poured every waking moment into ensuring humanity stood a fighting chance against the Vorthak. Late nights blurred into early mornings as he collaborated with Zainara and her team, refining plans and troubleshooting problems. Their bond deepened with each challenge overcome, forged in the fires of adversity. They weren't just colleagues anymore. They were comrades, bound by shared purpose and mutual respect. One evening, as they reviewed final designs for the prototype, starship christened Hope's Beacon, Zainara turned to Alex with a rare smile. "Do you remember the first time we met?" she asked. He chuckled softly, recalling the awkwardness of those initial encounters. "How could I forget? You barely said 2 words to me." She nodded, her gaze softening. "And now look at us. Partners, allies, perhaps even friends." Her words hung in the air, carrying a weight neither of them fully understood. Friendship between species separated by light years shouldn't have been possible, but somehow, it was. As dawn broke over the horizon, painting the sky with streaks of gold and crimson, Alex felt a flicker of hope. The road ahead remained treacherous, fraught with dangers they couldn't yet anticipate. But for the first time in months, he allowed himself to believe they might succeed. With Zainara by his side and humanity united behind them, anything seemed possible, even victory against the Vorthak. Yet even as optimism surged, ominous reports arrived from deep space. The Vorthak fleet had altered course, accelerating faster than anticipated. Time was slipping away. Knowing full well the odds stacked against them, Alex made a bold decision. Hope's Beacon would launch ahead of schedule. Its mission? To intercept the Vorthak and buy precious time for Earth's defenses to mobilize. Leading the crew would be none other than Alex himself, a choice that shocked everyone, including Zainara. When she confronted him about it, her voice trembled with emotion. "You don't have to do this," she insisted. "There are others who can lead the mission." But Alex shook his head, resolve etched into every line of his face. "This is my responsibility," he replied. "If anyone should face them first, it's me." Zainara stared at him for a long moment, then nodded slowly. "Then I will ensure you're ready," she said, "for all our sakes." And so, preparations began in earnest. Training intensified, simulations ran non-stop, and supplies were loaded onto the ship. As launch day approached, Alex found himself reflecting on everything that had led him to this point. The sacrifices, the struggles, the friendships forged in the crucible of the journey aboard Hope's Beacon was unlike anything Alex had ever experienced. For weeks, the starship hurtled through the vast emptiness of space, its engines humming softly as it followed a trajectory calculated to intercept the Vorthak fleet. The crew consisted of 12 individuals, scientists, engineers, and soldiers, each handpicked for their expertise and resilience. Despite their diverse backgrounds, they shared one common goal: to protect Earth at all costs. Yet, as the days stretched into monotony, tensions began to simmer beneath the surface. Alex struggled with the weight of command. As the mission leader, every decision fell on his shoulders. He reviewed flight logs, monitored fuel reserves, and ensured that everyone stayed focused on their tasks. But beyond the technical challenges lay something far more daunting: the psychological toll of isolation. Days blurred together without sunlight or fresh air, and the endless void outside the windows served as a constant reminder of just how far they were from home. Some crew members coped by immersing themselves in work, while others turned inward, retreating into silence. Alex made it a point to check in with each person daily, offering encouragement when he could, and listening when words failed him. Among the crew, Lieutenant Mara Hayes emerged as a steadfast ally. A seasoned pilot with years of military experience, she brought both discipline and humor to the team. Her sharp wit often lightened the mood during tense moments, earning her the nickname, the Glitch Fixer, after she managed to repair a malfunctioning navigation system using little more than duct tape and determination. Though initially skeptical of Alex's leadership, Mara soon came to respect his calm demeanor and unwavering resolve. Together they became the backbone of the crew, navigating not only the perils of space, but also the fragile dynamics within the group. As they ventured deeper into uncharted territory, strange phenomena began to occur. Instruments flickered unpredictably, and faint whispers echoed through the ship's corridors late at night. At first, the crew dismissed these incidents as stress-induced hallucinations, but the frequency of anomalies grew impossible to ignore. One evening during a routine systems check, Alex discovered something unsettling. Readings indicated the presence of an unknown energy field surrounding the ship. It pulsed rhythmically, almost like a heartbeat. When he reported his findings to the crew, unease rippled through the room. "We're being watched," Mara muttered, her voice low. Others nodded nervously, gripping their tools a little tighter. No one dared to say what everyone was thinking, that perhaps they weren't alone out here after all. Alex ordered increased surveillance, instructing the crew to stay vigilant. Whatever or whoever was out there, they couldn't afford to let their guard down. Days later, the mystery deepened. While conducting repairs on the outer hull, 2 engineers claimed to have seen movement in the distance, a shadowy figure drifting silently against the backdrop of stars. Their descriptions matched nothing in Krillian or human databases, fueling speculation about alien entities lurking in the darkness. Panic threatened to take hold, but Alex intervened before fear could spiral out of control. Gathering the crew in the mess hall, he addressed them directly. "I won't lie to you," he said, his tone firm yet reassuring. "We don't know what's out there, but panicking won't help us survive. Our mission is clear: stop the Vorthak. Everything else is secondary." His words steadied the crew, reminding them why they had volunteered for this perilous journey. Still, the sense of unease lingered, a constant undercurrent beneath their determination. Despite the mounting challenges, progress continued. The crew tested weapons systems, ran combat simulations, and fine-tuned defensive protocols based on strategies devised by Zenara and her team back on Earth. Each drill brought them closer to readiness, though Alex knew none of it guaranteed success. The Vorthak were ruthless and technologically superior. Even with Krillian assistance, humanity remained woefully outmatched. Yet hope persisted, a fragile thread holding them together. Then one fateful morning, the sensors picked up a signal. It wasn't static or random noise, it was deliberate, pulsing in patterns too complex to be natural. Alex gathered the crew in the command center, where holographic displays projected data streaming in real time. "This has to be them," he said, his voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through his veins. The Vorthak. The enormity of the moment hit them all at once. After months of preparation, the enemy was finally within reach. Through the viewport, distant shapes materialized, massive dreadnoughts looming like titans against the blackness of space. Their jagged hulls bristled with weaponry, and crimson lights glowed ominously along their exteriors. Even from afar, the sheer scale of the Vorthak fleet was overwhelming. Hope's beacon seemed insignificant in comparison, a tiny speck daring to challenge a storm. Alex wasted no time. Activating the ship's comm system, he transmitted a message to Earth, relaying their position and requesting reinforcements. Then turning to the crew, he issued orders. Mara, prep the engines for evasive maneuvers. Tech team, arm the plasma cannons. Everyone else, buckle in. It's going to get rough. His calm authority steadied the crew, galvanizing them into action. They knew what was at stake, and they were ready to fight. The battle began with a deafening roar as Hope's beacon unleashed its arsenal upon the nearest Vorthak vessel. Plasma bolts streaked across the void, striking the enemy's shields with blinding flashes of light. In response, the Vorthak retaliated with devastating force, sending waves of energy projectiles hurtling toward the tiny starship. Alarms blared as Hope's beacon rocked violently under the assault, throwing crew members off balance. Sparks flew from damaged consoles, and smoke filled the air, but no one faltered. Each person performed their role with precision, guided by Alex's steady commands. "Hold steady," Alex shouted over the chaos. "Focus fire on their port side." Following his lead, the crew adjusted their aim, targeting weak points identified during pre-mission simulations. Slowly but surely, cracks began to form in the Vorthak ship's defenses. Encouraged by the progress, Alex formulated a bold plan. Drawing on tactics Zinara had taught him, he instructed Mara to navigate Hope's beacon into a nearby nebula, an area rich with electromagnetic interference. If they could lure the Vorthak inside, the dense particles would disrupt their systems, giving the humans a fighting chance. The maneuver was risky, requiring pinpoint accuracy and nerves of steel. As Hope's beacon darted through the nebula's swirling clouds, the Vorthak pursued relentlessly. Energy beams tore through the haze, narrowly missing the starship as it zigzagged between asteroid fragments. Inside the cockpit, Mara gritted, her teeth, sweat dripping from her brow as she pushed the engines to their limits. "Come on, baby," she whispered to herself. Just a little farther. Finally, they reached the heart of the nebula. Static crackled across the Vorthak fleet's communication channels as their technology succumbed to the interference. Seizing the opportunity, Alex ordered a concentrated barrage, focusing all firepower on the flagship. Explosions erupted across its surface, sending chunks of debris spiraling into the void. Cheers erupted in the command center as the massive vessel listed dangerously, its once imposing silhouette now scarred and broken. But victory came at a cost. Hope's beacon sustained critical damage during the engagement. Its hull breached in multiple places. Emergency alarms wailed as oxygen levels plummeted, forcing the crew to don emergency suits. Power reserves dwindled, leaving them stranded millions of miles from Earth. Back on the planet, news of the battle spread like wildfire. Humanity celebrated the heroism of Alex and his crew, hailing them as saviors who had bought precious time for Earth's defenses to mobilize. Yet, amidst the jubilation, concern loomed large. Could rescue teams reach Hope's beacon in time? Or would Alex and his crew be lost forever? Zinara refused to give up. Upon receiving word of the ship's predicament, she spearheaded efforts to construct a rescue vessel capable of traversing the treacherous nebula. Pouring all available resources into the project, she worked tirelessly alongside Earth's brightest minds determined to retrieve the stranded heroes. Her motivation stemmed not only from duty but from personal stakes. Alex had become more than an ally. He was her only hope for redemption. Back aboard Hope's beacon, morale remained surprisingly high despite the dire circumstances. The crew rallied around Alex, drawing strength from his unwavering optimism. "We didn't come this far to quit now," he told them during a brief respite. "Help is on the way. Until then, we hold on." And so, they did. They patched leaks, rationed supplies, and maintained vigilance, clinging to the belief that survival was still possible. In quieter moments, Alex reflected on the journey that had brought him here. From the rooftop in New York City to the depths of space, his life had changed in ways he never imagined. He thought of Zinara, whose faith in him had carried him through countless trials. She had been his guide, his confidant, and his friend. Now, as he gazed out at the stars, he realized something profound. Humanity wasn't alone. Despite the vast distances separating worlds, connections could transcend boundaries. Bonds forged in adversity had the power to unite even the most unlikely allies. And so, surrounded by the wreckage of battle and the promise of rescue, the days aboard Hope's Beacon felt endless, each one stretching longer than the last. With critical systems failing and resources dwindling, survival became a minute-by-minute struggle. Alex and his crew worked tirelessly to keep the ship operational, patching breaches in the hull, rerouting power to essential functions, and rationing what little food and oxygen remained. Despite their efforts, morale began to waver. The initial adrenaline of their daring escape from the Vorthak fleet had faded, replaced by the harsh reality of their predicament. They were stranded in the vast emptiness of space, millions of miles from Earth with no guarantee of rescue. Alex tried to remain optimistic for the sake of his crew, but even he couldn't ignore the growing sense of despair. Nights were the hardest. As the others rested or tried to, he sat alone in the command center, staring at the stars through the cracked viewport. Each pinprick of light reminded him of how far they were from home, how fragile their existence truly was. He thought about Zinara often, wondering if she was still fighting for them back on Earth. Would she succeed in building a rescue vessel? Or would they be forgotten, left to drift forever in the cold void? One evening, as Alex reviewed the ship's dwindling reserves, Lieutenant Mara approached him. Her face was pale beneath her helmet, exhaustion etched into every line. "We can't keep this up much longer," she admitted quietly. "If we don't find a solution soon." She trailed off, unable to finish the sentence. Alex nodded, understanding the unspoken fear. They were running out of time, and everyone knew it. Determined to buy them a few more precious hours or days, Alex proposed a risky plan. Using materials salvaged from damaged sections of the ship, they could construct a makeshift solar array to harness energy from nearby stars. It wasn't a permanent fix, but it might provide enough power to extend their lifeline until help arrived. The crew rallied behind the idea, working together with renewed determination. For the first time in weeks, there was a glimmer of hope, however faint. As they labored, Alex found himself reflecting on the journey that had brought them here. From the moment the sky parted above New York City to the battle against the Vorthak fleet, every decision had led them to this point. He thought about the sacrifices made along the way, not just by his crew but by countless others who had given everything to protect Earth. Scientists, engineers, soldiers, civilians. They had all played a part in humanity's fight for survival, and now, trapped in the depths of space, Alex realized just how interconnected their fates truly were. Back on Earth, Zinara worked around the clock to build the rescue vessel. Dubbed Resolute Dawn, the ship was designed specifically to navigate the treacherous nebula where Hope's Beacon had vanished. Combining Krillian technology with human ingenuity, it represented the best chance of reaching Alex and his crew before it was too late. Yet progress was slow and fraught with challenges. Political tensions threatened to derail funding, while technical setbacks delayed construction. Through it all, Zinara refused to give up. Every setback fueled her resolve, reminding her why she had chosen to stay on Earth in the first place. Her bond with Alex had grown stronger over the months they had worked together. At first, she had seen him as nothing more than a curious scientist eager to learn. But as they faced crisis after crisis, she came to admire his courage, his unwavering belief in humanity's potential. He reminded her of herself, of who she used to be before the loss of her homeworld had hardened her heart. In helping him, she had found a purpose beyond duty. She owed it to him and to herself to bring him home. Meanwhile, aboard Hope's Beacon, the makeshift solar array proved successful. Though crude and inefficient, It provided just enough energy to stabilize the ship's life support systems. Morale improved slightly, buoyed by the small victory. The crew celebrated with rationed portions of freeze-dried meals, laughing and sharing stories to distract themselves from their dire situation. Even Alex allowed himself a rare moment of levity, joining in the camaraderie. For a brief time, the weight of their circumstances lifted, replaced by the warmth of shared humanity. But the reprieve was short-lived. Days later, sensors detected an anomaly, a massive object drifting toward them from the edge of the nebula. At first, they hoped it might be the rescue vessel, but as it drew closer, its true nature became clear. It was a derelict ship, ancient and battered, its origins unknown. The crew debated whether to investigate, weighing the risks against the potential rewards. In the end, curiosity won out. If the ship contained usable supplies or technology, it could mean the difference between life and death. Donning their suits, Alex and Mara led a team outside to explore the mysterious vessel. Its surface was pockmarked with scars from battles long past, and strange symbols adorned its hull, glowing faintly in the dim light. As they entered the airlock, a sense of unease settled over them. The interior was eerily silent, the only sound, the creak of metal underfoot. Dust coated every surface and shadows danced in the flickering glow of their helmet lights. It felt like stepping into a tomb. They split up to cover more ground, communicating via radio. Alex wandered into what appeared to be a control room, its consoles covered in ice. As he examined the equipment, something caught his eye. A holographic display frozen mid-transmission. Activating it, he watched in stunned silence as images of a thriving civilization unfolded before him. The people looked humanoid, yet distinctly alien, their faces filled with joy and laughter. Then, abruptly, the footage shifted to scenes of destruction. Cities crumbling, skies burning, survivors fleeing in terror. A single phrase repeated itself across the screen. "The Vorthak will come." Alex's blood ran cold. This wasn't just a random derelict. It was a warning. These beings had faced the same enemy that now threatened Earth, and they hadn't survived. The realization hit him like a punch to the gut. If the Vorthak could destroy civilizations older and more advanced than humanity, what chance did they really have? Before he could process the implications, Mara's voice crackled over the comms. "Alex, we've got trouble." She sounded panicked, and static distorted her words. Rushing to her location, Alex found her and the rest of the team gathered, in a corridor, staring at a sealed door. Beyond it, faint scratching noises echoed, growing louder with each passing second. Whatever was inside wanted out, and badly. "We need to leave. Now," Alex ordered, his voice firm despite the knot of dread in his stomach. They retraced their steps quickly, hearts pounding as the sounds chased them through the ship. Reaching the airlock, they scrambled back onto Hope's beacon, sealing the hatch behind them. As the derelict drifted away, Alex couldn't shake the feeling that they had narrowly escaped something far worse than mechanical failure or dwindling resources. Back, aboard their own ship, the crew processed what they had discovered. The derelict's message was clear. The Vorthak were relentless, unstoppable. Yet instead of despairing, the revelation ignited a spark within them. If these ancient beings had fought until their dying breath, then so would they. Humanity wouldn't go down without a fight, not while there was still breath in their lungs. Days turned into weeks, and still no rescue came. Food rations grew smaller, conversations quieter. Alex spent most of his time monitoring sensors, hoping for any sign of resolute dawn. When he wasn't working, he wrote letters to loved ones he might never see again, pouring his thoughts and regrets onto scraps of paper. He thought about his mother, whose pleas for him to return had haunted him since the beginning of the mission. He wondered if she would ever forgive him for choosing duty over family. Then, one morning, the sensors lit up. A signal, a familiar one, pierced the static. It was Zainara. "Alex, do you read me?" Her voice crackled over the comms. Relief flooded through him, so intense it nearly brought him to tears. "We're here," he replied, his voice trembling. And we're ready to come home. Resolute Dawn arrived hours later, its sleek form cutting through the nebula like a beacon of hope. Docking procedures were tense but efficient, and soon Alex and his crew were safely aboard. Zainara greeted them personally, her expression unreadable beneath her visor. But when she embraced Alex, the gratitude in her eyes said everything words couldn't. The journey back to Earth was bittersweet. Though relieved to be alive, Alex couldn't forget the sacrifices made along the way, the lives lost, the worlds destroyed. As Resolute Dawn descended through the atmosphere, he gazed out at the blue planet below, vowing never to take it for granted again. Humanity had been given a second chance, and he intended to make the most of it. When they landed, crowds awaited them, cheering and waving flags. Reporters shouted questions, cameras flashed, and loved ones cried tears of joy. Amidst the chaos, Alex sought out Zainara, finding her standing apart from the celebration. "Thank you," he said simply, his voice thick with emotion. She smiled, faintly placing a hand on his shoulder. "No, Alex, thank you. You reminded me why we fight, for hope, for connection, for life itself." Together they walked toward the crowd, united not just by shared experiences but by a deeper understanding of what it meant to stand together against the darkness. The war against the Vorthak was far from over, but for the first time, Alex believed they might actually win. Because in the end, it wasn't weapons or technology that mattered. The return of Alex and his crew to Earth marked a turning point, not just for humanity but for the fragile alliance between humans and Krillians. As Resolute Dawn touched down on a specially prepared landing pad near New York City, the world watched with bated breath. News outlets broadcast live footage of the event, capturing every detail: the sleek alien vessel descending gracefully from the sky, the cheering crowds waving flags and banners, and finally, the moment when Alex stepped out onto solid ground once more. His face was gaunt, his eyes shadowed by exhaustion, but there was an unmistakable spark of triumph in his expression. For weeks afterward, Alex became the face of hope, a symbol of resilience and determination. Reporters hounded him for interviews, politicians sought his counsel, and ordinary citizens hailed him as a hero. Yet beneath the accolades lay a quiet humility. Alex knew better than anyone that their victory against the Vorthak wasn't complete. It was merely the beginning of a much larger fight. What they had achieved aboard Hope's beacon was nothing short of miraculous, but the war was far from over. The Vorthak fleet still loomed on the horizon, its arrival inevitable unless humanity acted swiftly. Zainara remained by Alex's side during this whirlwind period, her presence both a source of comfort and strength. Though initially wary of public attention, she adapted quickly, using her role as a liaison between humans and Krillians to foster trust and cooperation. Together, they addressed global assemblies, sharing insights about the Vorthak threat and urging nations to unite under a common cause. "This isn't just about survival," Zainara emphasized during one such speech. "It's about proving that even in the face of overwhelming odds, we can rise above fear and division. We are stronger together." Her words resonated deeply with audiences around the world. For the first time in history, humanity stood united, not through coercion or necessity, but through shared purpose. Factories once dedicated to consumer goods now churned out components for starships. Schools incorporated lessons on interstellar navigation and advanced engineering into their curricula. Entire economies shifted focus, prioritizing innovation and collaboration over profit margins. It was a transformation unlike anything the planet had ever seen, driven by the collective will to protect their home. But progress came at a cost. Resources dwindled, forcing difficult decisions about allocation and rationing. Some regions suffered more than others, leading to resentment and unrest. Conspiracy theories continued to circulate online, fueled by those who believed the Krillians harbored ulterior motives. Despite these challenges, Alex and Zainara worked tirelessly to maintain unity, addressing concerns head-on and ensuring transparency at every level. Their partnership became a beacon of stability, inspiring others to set aside differences and work toward a brighter future. As months passed, Earth transformed into a hub of activity. Cities rebuilt themselves, incorporating Krillian technology into infrastructure to create sustainable energy systems, faster transportation networks, and improved living conditions. Quantum communication devices allowed instant contact across continents, breaking down barriers that had existed for centuries. And perhaps most importantly, humanity began looking beyond its borders, not as conquerors, but as explorers eager to learn and grow. Alex played a central role in this evolution, serving as a bridge between two worlds. He collaborated with scientists, engineers, and strategists to refine defensive technologies while also advocating for peaceful coexistence with other species. His experiences aboard Hope's Beacon had taught him that survival wasn't enough. Humanity needed to evolve, to become something greater than it had been before. This philosophy aligned perfectly with Zinara's vision, and together, they spearheaded initiatives aimed at fostering mutual understanding. One such initiative involved cultural exchange programs designed to introduce humans to Krillian customs, art, and philosophy, and vice versa. These interactions revealed surprising similarities between the two species. Both valued family, community, and the pursuit of knowledge. Both carried scars from past conflicts, yet both refused to let those wounds define them. Through shared meals, storytelling sessions, and joint research projects, bonds formed that transcended language and biology. By the end of the first year, many began referring to the Krillians not as allies but as friends. Despite these strides, the looming threat of the Vorthak cast a long shadow. Intelligence gathered from deep space probes indicated that the invaders were accelerating their advance, likely spurred by news of humanity's resistance. Military leaders urged immediate action, proposing preemptive strikes to weaken the enemy before they reached Earth. But Alex and Zinara argued against such tactics, warning that aggression would only provoke further retaliation. Instead, they advocated for a strategy rooted in defense and diplomacy, fortifying Earth's borders while seeking alliances with other species threatened by the Vorthak. Their approach faced fierce opposition, particularly from factions within the military-industrial complex. Critics accused them of naivety, claiming that soft power wouldn't deter the Vorthak's relentless expansion. Yet, Alex held firm, drawing upon lessons learned from his journey. Violence begets violence, he reminded skeptics during a heated debate. If we stoop to their level, we lose sight of what we're fighting for. Humanity is worth more than that. To bolster their case, Alex and Zinara organized a series of simulations demonstrating how defensive strategies could neutralize Vorthak attacks without escalating hostilities. Using data collected from Hope's Beacon's encounter with the Eye fleet, they showcased innovative techniques for exploiting weaknesses in the invaders' armor and weaponry. The presentations impressed even the harshest critics, earning widespread support for their plan. Meanwhile, preparations for the final battle intensified. Starship production ramped up, with dozens of vessels rolling off assembly lines each month. Training programs equipped soldiers with skills tailored to interstellar combat, emphasizing teamwork and adaptability over brute force. Civilians contributed, too, volunteering for roles ranging from medical support to logistics coordination. Every individual played a part, no matter how small, in safeguarding the planet's future. Through it all, Alex and Zinara grew closer, their bond deepening with each challenge overcome. They spent countless hours discussing everything from tactical maneuvers to personal dreams, finding solace in each other's company amidst the chaos. Zinara confided in Alex about her guilt over failing her homeworld, admitting that working alongside humanity had helped her find a measure of peace. In turn, Alex shared his fears about leadership and legacy, voicing doubts he rarely expressed to anyone else. Their conversations became a sanctuary, a reminder that even heroes needed moments of vulnerability. When the day finally came, the atmosphere was electric. The Vorthak fleet appeared on scanners, its massive dreadnoughts blotting out stars as they approached Earth. Alarms blared across the globe, signaling the start of what many believed would be the defining moment in human history. From orbiting stations to underground bunkers, billions held their breath, praying for victory. Alex took command of Earth's newly assembled fleet, standing tall in the cockpit of Resolute Dawn. Beside him, Zainara coordinated communications between human and Krillian forces, her calm demeanor steadying nervous crews. As the two fleets clashed in a dazzling display of light and sound, Alex executed the strategies they had practiced endlessly. Plasma cannons fired in synchronized bursts, targeting weak points identified through meticulous analysis. Evasive maneuvers kept enemy ships off balance, buying precious seconds for reinforcements to arrive. The battle raged for hours, neither side gaining a decisive advantage. Then, inspired by Alex's earlier gambit in the nebula, Zainara proposed a bold counterattack. Leading a squadron of agile fighters, she lured a portion of the Vorthak fleet into a trap, a dense asteroid field rigged with explosives. The resulting detonations crippled several key vessels, creating chaos among the invaders' ranks. Seizing the opportunity, Alex ordered a concentrated assault on the flagship, delivering the final blow that shattered the Vorthak's command structure. As the remaining ships retreated into the void, cheers erupted across Earth. Fireworks lit up skies worldwide, celebrating not just victory but the dawn of a new era. Humanity had proven itself capable of standing toe-to-toe with galactic powers, earning respect and recognition throughout the cosmos. But more importantly, they had done so without sacrificing their values or humanity. In the aftermath, Alex reflected on everything that had transpired. From the rooftop in New York City to the depths of space, his life had changed in ways he never imagined. He thought about Zainara, whose unwavering faith had carried him through countless trials. She had been his guide, his confidant, and ultimately, his friend. Now, as they stood together watching the sunrise over a battered but resilient Earth, he realized something profound. Connection transcended boundaries. Bonds forged in adversity had the power to unite even the most unlikely allies. Years later, Alex's legacy endured. Monuments were erected in his honor. Textbooks chronicled his exploits, and generations looked to him as a symbol of courage and perseverance. Yet the true measure of his success lay not in monuments or accolades, but in the